Well, we've got our spare tyre. Let's slide that in place. Now it's best to get the holes lined up with the nuts, or with the studs on the wheel, and lift the tyres in place. So now, just keeping tension with one hand on the wheel, particularly if you're doing this on your own. Now the cone side, you'll see this nut kind of tapers to one point. That tapered bit fits inside the taper where the wheel, where the studs come through on the new wheel or on the spare wheel. So always remember, flat side to the outside, taper to the inside. Okay. Also, if you're doing this on your own, you haven't got somebody to help you hold, always do opposite studs when you're just putting the bolts on loosely by hand. There we go. Great. So now you don't have to hold it anymore. Put the other two nuts in place and be done. All we need to do is just nip them up a little bit before we put the car, before we lower the car with the jack. So just put them on, tighten, just as much as you can by hand without the tyre moving around too much or becoming unmanageable. And see how I'm tightening? I did that bolt, I did that nut, then that nut, and then I do on the other side. Always switch opposite sides. So whenever you're tightening wheel nuts on a car, you do whichever one you start on, always do the opposite side, and then the next one, opposite side. What this does, just make sure that your wheel meshes nice and level with your hub, instead of it kind of pulling in skew, which can result in tyre failure again, or buckling a rim, breaking your hub, damaging wheel bearings. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to lower the jack very slowly and get the wheel trim out the way so you don't break it with the weight of the car. So in this case, anti-clockwise, see it's coming down nicely. Great. Jack literally dropped up. We've only nipped these bolts or these nuts up, which means they have to still be tightened properly. Now, to get a good understanding for how much pressure is needed to keep your wheel nut on, basically tighten it as much as you can by hand. Again, note I'm always doing opposite. If you're quite strong in your arms, that'll be more than enough. But if you're not, and you know you're not as strong in your arms, just put a bit of pressure with your foot. And there we go, done. Now it's very important not to put too much pressure on, because this can actually strip the thread of the nuts. Note, I'm doing opposite, always the opposite. Now when putting your wheel trim back on, it's very important to line up one of the holes, or one of these notches in the wheel trim, with the tyre valve. Now some cars' wheel trims, there'll be a little, in this metal ring, which is essentially there to put tension on these tabs on the wheel trim, there'll be a little indentation, or kind of like an extra loop. That loop would effectively fit over the top of the tyre valve, and then from there, using the palm of your hand, apply even pressure right the way around. Chuck this in the boot or in the back of the bakkie, whichever vehicle you're driving, just so that it's on hand so you can get it changed immediately. And pack all your tools away, and you're done. And that was the last step. Congratulations, you've just changed your own tyre.